Hello. On the 14th of March, we have a lunar eclipse and a full moon in Virgo and Pisces. And I would like to guide you through this important astrology event so that you can be prepared and you can also take advantage. The lunar eclipses are always very powerful because they connect the sun and the moon, which are in opposition. That's the full moon. But also the axis of the lunar nodes is right next to the sun and the moon. That's what makes the event very special, very intense, with a much longer lasting impact. So if you would like to use this energy in your life, that's what we will talk about. The first thing to keep in mind is that this axis, Virgo and Pisces, is the axis that connects the mind and the heart, or the logic and the intuition. So, from one side, we have a conflict between both of them. From another side, it's a great time also to try to find the balance between those two polarities. And some of the most important topics during at least the next 2 weeks will be related to finding this balance between the mind and the heart. What's interesting is that the south node is in conjunction with the moon. Let's look at this together. So this is the chart of our lunar eclipse. As you can see, the moon is right next to the south node in Virgo, and the sun is with the North Node, but also Saturn, Neptune, and even Venus retrograde is around. So very, very intense combination. The South Node in Virgo with the moon suggests that it would be a great time to let go of criticism, judgment, perfectionism, trying to do everything perfectly in the best possible way, and also fearing that we are not going to do this. So there isn't anything wrong when we want to make something great. But the usual problem is that if we are afraid of making a mistake or we are afraid that it won't be perfect, this could be a mechanism that can block us. So, in the next couple of weeks, it's a great time to work and release self criticism, self judgment, and overall criticism and judgment as well. Also, uh, too much focus on tiny details that are not necessarily important. And on the other side, we have the North Node in conjunction with the Sun. So, one of the keys here is that we need more awareness. We need to become more conscious of the things that we are doing, of ourselves, first of all, but also anything else around us. And we have a tough combination. Saturn and Neptune are both here, and they are completely different. They bring completely different energy. From one side, Saturn brings the need to structure something, organize it, bring some kind of order, and Neptune wants to kind of like swim in the universal ocean around us without any boundaries, without any limitations, and just feeling things. So, yes, we need to live with both of those needs at the same time. And what is very interesting here, how can this overall combination work? So, South Node in Virgo, but on the other side, North Node in Pisces and Saturn there. The way this can work together is that it would be great for us if we stop trying to control the things that we are normally trying to control. And we usually all have this. There are things that we are trying to keep under control or to organize or to be very strict. And those are the things that we should release. We shouldn't prioritize that much. We should try to set free of. And on the other side, Pisces is usually the place where we are very open, we are feeling, we are expanding on an intuitive level. And there is no order there usually, but now with Saturn being there, we may need to bring a little bit of order and structure into areas which we are not used to organize or to structure typically. So this combination with Saturn here is not allowing us to completely detach from everything material, everything logical and practical, and just to float. That would have been the case if Saturn was not here. If we had only the Sun, Neptune, and the North Node, yes, we would have said that it's all about kind of like connecting to the divine and trusting your intuition and again floating metaphorically, of course. But with Saturn this will not work, and that's from one side the challenge, from another side the potential advantage, that we can try to organize areas which until now have been chaotic in our life. And first of all, this applies to our emotional world, because Pisces represents our feelings, our emotional state, also our intuition, connection to everything around us, and so on. So, on this level, where you have no control, typically, where you are disorganized, chaotic, and floating, now would be a good time to try to have a little bit of control there. So again, I repeat, not in the typical areas where you are used to try to control things, or maybe you're even controlling them well enough. Those are not the priorities. Actually, it's better if you detach from those. But in the areas where you are confused, chaotic, maybe sometimes feeling lost, that's where you need to focus on and to try to bring a little bit of more groundedness. And yet, with the Neptune here, there could also be a very, I would say, deep healing influence for us. So, a very, very interesting combination. And those are some topics that I would recommend you work, especially during the next 2 weeks. One of the great methods that I would recommend, this is the method of GSR. This is what I'm using for the deepest energy transformation. So if you feel ready to step up and to really change your life, to bring more freedom, to release the things that are holding you back, and to gain some control in areas where you have felt unstable and lost, then you can check the links below and contact me if you want to start this adventure. So, what else is also important about this lunar eclipse? What's important is that Uranus and Mars are helping us in this situation. So, they have only positive, harmonious aspects with the eclipse. Both of the planets add more active, dynamic energy. Mars is still quite weak in Cancer. So our emotional motivation is very important and our desires. But if we can find this inner motivation and desire, then we can get more things done. We can achieve more things. We can release more things. But again, the focus is on our personal initiative. Mars is about the actions that we take. So focus on the actions that you can take, the things that depend on you. And Uranus is the planet of freedom and liberation. So this can help us to have a different perspective, to try something new, to experiment, to really open up to new experiences and also insights in our lives. So Uranus can really help with changes, with more freedom, and setting free from some kind of typical restrictions for us. So one of the important themes during this lunar eclipse, and again, at least for the next 2 weeks, what you can work on is anything that has to do with your emotional balance, anything that has to do with feeling of losing control, feeling confused, not knowing what to do, being lost, or not knowing how to use your intuition, and also letting go of perfectionism, judgment, criticism, too much focus on details or insignificant things. And anything that has to do with your health, your well being, the balance between the body and the psyche. is also a great topic to address. And something that resonates very, very well is the idea of minimalism. This resonates very well with the Virgo energy and with the Saturn energy. Both of them are about being practical, being minimalistic, very concrete, and organized. So it's a great time for decluttering, for literally throwing away things that you are no longer using or giving them away or selling them, but just opening up the space even on a physical level so that new energy can enter your life. And of course, even more importantly, it's a great time for emotional release. So anything that is related to fears, to lack of certainty, to feeling confused, lost, detached, boundaries, or feeling that you can't connect the way you want to different areas in your life. Those are great topics to address. So I hope we will all use this time in our advantage in a beneficial and constructive way. Happy lunar eclipse to everyone. And if you are willing to make the next step and work on any of those issues, feel free to contact me. And I would love to support you on this path. You can find more information or my contacts also below this video.